I do, after this experience, have a much clearer sense of what I do want to share with the public and what I will be keeping to myself in private.
Hello everyone, how are we doing? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If I look a little bit red today, I literally just got back from a run, quickly dried my hair, and we're here. But I want to talk about a follow-up for this video that I did about Sarah Kim and her husband, Andrew. If you don't know who they are, I'll give you a little refresher. Following their podcast, there was a wave of people on the internet being extremely concerned for Sarah Kim, because as it was presented from like 6 episodes on their podcast, she was out working 2 jobs, coming home, cooking and doing all that kind of stuff, and she's also pregnant. Very big thing to keep in mind. Commuting like 2 hours each way to go into work, and he wasn't working.
I still had to come face to face with, I still need a provider. No matter how many times I can double, triple, quadruple your income, I still need a financial provider, or contributor. And it's like, how do I express that need to you without bringing guilt or shame along with it?
Yeah.
So then that was really hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did I think about what if I married rich?
Yeah.
During those hard times? Probably. Yeah. Like, wow, if I just married a really rich dude, this wouldn't be happening. But I'm like, damn, I am the really rich dude.
She had clips like that, and people were obviously like, what? Because the curtain was just peeled back a little bit, and people that had been following them for a little while were going, hold on a minute, I didn't realize it was this bad.
So my bar for what feels financially secure is extremely low. Like, hey, I can pay rent next month. We good, right?
I'm stressed out from hearing that.
Yeah,
and there sparked just so much stuff. We had Andrew in, because he's a pastor. There's clips of him doing sermons where he is not speaking great about his wife, his pregnant wife.
But she loves to laugh at me, and not just laugh at me, but point it out and be like, what did you just say? Can you say that again? Oh my gosh, you sound so stupid. Hold on. And she'll pull out her phone and she'll record it, right? So some of you have had the honor of seeing me humiliate myself on the internet, right? If you've seen any of my wife's videos, and she enjoys this process of pointing it out, and it can be difficult. It's cruel, right? What kind of cruel person does this? And that story has no resolution. I'm doomed.
Just a myriad of different things were coming out, and you know how it would appear that Sarah Kim's dad, who appears to be a very loving, caring father, it didn't really seem like he was that happy. He was quite shocked, and not particularly in a great way, when he found out that they were having a baby together. Just loads of different things, all right? You have to listen to the podcast episodes, because they were taking us through when they first met all the way up to they're having a baby. So, and they were being very open and honest about how it is. And she did look very vulnerable. She looked very sad at a lot of key moments, and people were concerned, saying, you know, you should get out of this situation, get out of this marriage, girl, you can do so much better. You know, when she's going on about wanting a provider and that he doesn't seemingly really provide.
Maybe I don't need to chase that prestigious job at that big company to make me feel good about myself. Maybe I don't need to put other people down, right? Maybe I don't need to yell at that person. Maybe I don't need to reach for that bottle or that pill or that, you know, whatever it is. Maybe I don't need to go to that website. Maybe I don't need to go sleep with that other person. Maybe I don't need those things. I need Jesus.
And the reasoning why I'm doing today's video is because she has in fact just responded to everything. She has responded, and I thought it would be only fair to share what she has said. Now, I'm going to be playing this video, but I'm also going to be pausing a lot to talk about what she's saying. So if you want to watch the full TikTok of hers without any pauses whatsoever, I will leave it linked in the pinned comment and in the description box.
I took this past week to unplug because my top priority is to protect the peace and the health of my family. But I'm aware of the situation, and I know that many of you come from a place of care, and so just wanted to take the opportunity to clarify some things.
Okay, so the very first thing that she said is that she has been taking a week off to protect the peace, protect her family. Now, what you are going to notice is that Pastor or Pastor. Anyway, he is not there. We're going to find out in a minute that he's got like a full-time job, which I do kind of wish that they'd have mentioned at some point in their podcast episode, because that was not what they said. Was it a particularly great move for them not to include Andrew? I don't think it was a particularly great move. I know a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but people wouldn't be happy with him if he appeared or didn't appear. But the problem is that a lot of the problems that people have is with Andrew, if not that is the main person that people, the reasoning why people are getting a little bit upset. So it would make more sense as to, him being there and saying, hey, I have a full-time job. Hey, I'm actually a very loving, caring husband. Hey, I do this and that. And the sermons, that was a little joke, okay? If he'd have done that, I do genuinely think we would be off to a better start.
There's always going to be a million things that somebody will always have something to say that you're not doing right that you could fix. There's always going to be some way that you're falling short. There's always going to be something you're messing up. But the law of love says, right now, right where you are, when you come face to face with God.
It also brings up the fact that there are periods of her life, of them two together, where she has not been working and he has been supporting her.
Andrew and I, from the very beginning, we have committed to being there for each other and supporting each other through anything and everything. And in the beginning of our marriage, I've had long periods of time where I didn't have a job, whether that was because I had quit a job or been impacted by mass layoffs, and Andrew was the one who had fully supported us through that. And so in the season where Andrew's in between jobs, I am more than happy to stand by him through this transition. He did everything that he could to make sure that we're taken care of, whether that's from picking up part-time jobs, freelance gigs, helping me with all the back end of my social media platforms, and along with finishing his master's. And right now, he's working a full-time job that he very much loves, which I love for him. And it's already come with so many blessings. The biggest one being us being able to move into this house where we get to start our new family.
So this part, I did actually touch on this in my last video, where them two were talking about the fact that she was in and out of work for about 2 years, something a bit like that, and he was supporting her. But that would then go on to say that his version of being financially secure and content is, hey, I've just made rent this month, we're all good. And she did not like the sound of that. My theory, allegedly, is that perhaps, he wasn't earning a hell of a lot of money even when she was being supported.
And then I picked a career where, like, kind of in that nonprofit Christian world, you don't make a lot of money, but you're not in it for the money. And so I was used to just being poor, just barely making it, just getting by.
And she felt like she had to go back to work because she is the main breadwinner. Nothing the matter with that. If the woman being the main breadwinner, go get it. Like, nothing the matter with that. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that the way that they phrased it was very different. Also, she goes on to say that he does in fact have a job. Now, I'm a little bit confused with this one. How late are these podcast episodes? I don't really know. But when they were doing podcast episode 5, which is where a lot of this controversy comes from, he didn't have a job and she was the one supporting, but now he does have a job. And she does also go on to say that his job is back in the church.
About the joke that he told before starting his sermon, I want everyone to know that we have so much care and respect for one another, and especially because we both have public facing platforms. For me, it'd be online, and then for him, it's the church. We have a system that we set in place quite some time ago. We will always run things by each other, especially if we're going to be talking about each other or showing each other. And Andrew simply would never say anything that I wouldn't already be aware of or something that I wouldn't like.
The sermon, the infamous sermon where he is saying that this person who lives in my house is mocking me whenever I try and speak Korean. Only a cruel person would do that. Something a bit like that. And she goes on and she says that actually, everything that they ever say and address, they already run it through with each other.
And I practice, but I suck. And it's kind of embarrassing. And what doesn't help is that there's this person who lives in my house, and she cackles every time I'm speaking in Korean. I'm trying my best, but she loves to laugh at me, and not just laugh at me, but point it out and be like, what did you just say? Can you say that again? Oh my gosh, you sound so stupid. Hold on. And she'll pull out her phone and she'll record it, right? So some of you have had the honor of seeing me humiliate myself on the internet, right? If you've seen any of my wife's videos, and she enjoys this process of pointing it out, and it can be difficult. It's cruel, right? What kind of cruel person does this?
Fair enough. I would not want to be called cruel. I wouldn't want my partner or even a friend to speak of me like that in front of an audience, or even another person, actually. But especially in that kind of context. There's actually been quite a few sermon clips that I keep on seeing being resurfaced. He also goes on to say, okay, her and Andrew have both suffered mistreatment in the church, and it really pains them to hear these stories that have come out.
The more important thing I want to talk about here are the painful stories that many of you have been sharing regarding your hurt and pain that have been caused by abusive church cultures and church leaders. I want to take a moment to honor that because it's so real, and it particularly breaks Andrew and my heart because we carry similar experiences of our own, and it's taken so much time for us to heal and process, and we're still going through that healing. And we're grateful to have found a church where we feel safe enough to at least continue that healing.
I didn't realize that she was as heavily involved in the church. It's totally weirdly normal for older people that are higher up in the church to befriend and in other times abuse their power with younger girls, boys. I was kind of having a little pause in that clip, and then also just a little think in general. Where did they meet? Because they said that they met at a coffee shop, but I keep on seeing that they'd actually met each other before that. I'm just curious. He wasn't like her pastor or anything, was he? I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not saying anything. Hello, dog. I'm not saying anything. I just had a moment of thought. Dog, get out of the camera.
And Andrew is so passionate about bringing health to the church, and he wants to be a part of cultivating that culture of integrity, safety, and love. And so for those of you who have followed our journey for quite some time now, I am very grateful that you have gotten to know the Andrew that I very much still love to this day. The man who pampers me with daily massages from day one, never let me even do a load of laundry. The man who's my absolute, cannot imagine having anyone else be my husband and the father of my future child. I care so much about people being celebrated for truly who they are, and I wouldn't want anyone else to have to experience their life or even their loved ones to be misrepresented.
Brings up the fact that actually he has been very supportive and caring through day one of her finding out she's pregnant. And within this is responding to, I think people were like clipping podcast episodes together where she says that he wasn't really that engaged at the very beginning of her being pregnant.
But then Sarah was starting to feel like, hello, I'm not doing this by myself. I need you to be here and invested. And I think I'm also just not the type to like really worry and kind of be anxious and want to do a bunch of stuff when I don't necessarily need to. But it was a bit of a wake-up call, and I was like, okay, I need to be 100% invested.
And I'm just seeing all of these things and like seeing all the content, and now my mind is filled with baby stuff. Mm-hmm. But then it seems like you're so far behind, like you don't know or not concerned with, or you won't address the baby, you won't talk about the baby. You didn't necessarily ask me like, oh, like, how are you feeling? I needed you to ask me like 5 times a day or something. But also because I was doing like relatively well.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard. There were days I forgot I was pregnant.
But she then goes on to say that actually, yes, they are giving each other massages, which he should, like, that's your pregnant wife. Do you know what I mean? once again, would anyone even be discussing any of this had they not put this on the internet? Like, the detail that these two go into on their podcast, I'm not surprised that people have had such an adverse reaction to all of this, because you put out such personal stuff about your relationship. Every single time people are going to have something to say about it.
I just like calculated me turning like the next year, the next year.
Yeah.
I was like 7-ish, 7.5. So I don't know. Make it less dramatic.
Also clarifies that the reasoning why he didn't turn up to the very first ultrasound was because he was doing some job stuff. He had a job interview. So between the last We're Having a Baby episode on their podcast, whenever that was filmed, and now, I'm assuming that he got the job, or he got a job because he's working full time apparently, doing his church stuff.
I wouldn't want anyone else to have to experience their life or even their loved ones to be misrepresented. Take for a small example, a very sweet and intimate moment where Andrew and I are taking a look at our very first ultrasound in the parking lot of our hospital has somehow become a story of he's at a boys' trip and so missed my ultrasound. When in reality, he came straight to the hospital as soon as his scheduled job interview had ended, hoping to make the appointment.
They did actually bring this up in the podcast.
Really hit for me when we had our first ultrasound. And I saw the ultrasound pictures. You got in the car and I had missed it because I had like a work thing. And I picked you up and you showed me the ultrasound and I just started crying.
And then she then finishes it off by saying that they're going to be way more careful about what they share. I think they had good intentions of sharing all of this information. And really, it's their relationship. You know, she's pregnant. Do whatever the hell you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's their thing. But you know, the internet will rise to it. The internet is just like, if you share that much personal information going out, no relationship is perfect. And I feel that if a lot of people put out this level of detail about their own relationships, then, you know, a lot of the time you'd be like, oh, leave them, or that's really horrible, because people are human. I mean, there are definitely some things that I feel that she's not being very, I don't know, I feel like that video was very much just almost in denial about some of the things, because, you know, there were points where she did look hurt and upset that he wasn't stepping up, and he would kind of laugh it off, and that is painful to watch. It's saddening to watch as a viewer. So I'm not surprised that people had a bad reaction to it.
Social media can only capture fractions of my whole life, and as much as I want to continue sharing these sweet moments, I do, after this experience, have a much clearer sense of what I do want to share with the public and what I will be keeping to myself in private. Being completely honest here, this week has been filled with moments of frustration, grief, and sheer bafflement. But our current reality is this. Andrew and I are stepping into what is about to be one of the most beautiful chapters of our lives, as we are beyond excited for the arrival of our baby. We both work jobs that we love. We moved into this beautiful home that we get to start a new family. And we're also surrounded by the absolute best and most supportive friends and family. And we believe that the best is yet to come.
But anyway, that is pretty much the end of that whole saga. I don't even know if anyone's even talking about it anymore, but I feel like it was only fair to then do a follow-up. Andrew, I think, should have been there to address it. Maybe he was at work. Maybe that's where he was. But anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.